Hello, sports fans, and welcome back to Sports on the Spot. My name is Willie Charger, and I'll be joined by Nick James, later on by Lenny and Ronnie, who are going to give us their lowdown and rundown on the sports world. Today, we're going to be talking some NBA basketball. There's only 4 teams remaining in the playoff hunt as they try to win that coveted NBA crown. Later on, we're going to be talking about Major League Baseball's efforts to try to crack down on pitchers using these banned substances while pitching. But before we get into all that, Nick, what was your big sports news of the weekend?
Well, Willie, I thought it was pretty funny that the Giants are bringing back Eli Manning, but not in a player position, more in a fan engagement position, which is just really hilarious to me because you could draw a smiley face on a plank of wood that have more emotion than Eli Manning. I mean, player engagement, the fool didn't even seem like he was in the game. The only thing giant about him is his big mouth, which he uses to breathe. But other than that, I mean, you got NASCAR bringing in Alvin Kamara to be their fan engagement guy. I think that's got a lot more potential. I just don't see Eli Manning generating that much interest in anything.
Eli Manning. Well, for me, I was watching the Padres-Reds games on Fox on Saturday, and if you weren't watching, Joey Votto, the Reds infielder, got tossed out of the game in the first inning. Put on quite a show as he went nuclear after he argued some balls and strikes. Probably held up the game a good half hour. But the best part of the story was there was this little girl who was one of his big fans wearing a Joey shirt who'd come to the game just to watch her hero play, and he got tossed in the first inning. There was an internet shot of her crying. The story has a happy ending. The next day, I mean, after he found out about what happened, he showed up at the ball game, gave her an autographed baseball, and met her. So it all ended up good.
I don't even feel bad if she's a Joey Votto fan. I mean, where are the parents?
Yeah, that was a good one. So before we get too much further, let's turn it over to Lenny for his Lenny Lowdown. Take it away, Lenny.
With last week's exciting finish to the US Open, it's time to talk some golf. Not about what happened at the tournament, but about where the tournament was played. This year it was at Torrey Pines, a truly stunning setting on the bluffs overlooking the Pacific. But it's that very same beauty that blinds people to its deficiencies as a venue for Major League Golf. It's simply not challenging enough for the modern pro golfer. Take the hazards. Well, they're pretty much limited to a handful of random, strange, sandy pits. And when I land in one of those, I just use a technique I developed called multi-mulligans. And the greens at Torrey, well, they're pretty basic and kind of flat. Now, contrast Torrey Pines with my favorite course in San Diego, Tiki Town Adventure Golf at Mission Beach. While Tiki Town is much more compact than Torrey Pines, it's far more difficult and intriguing. Hole 7 at Tiki, for example, has a gigantic pineapple windmill with these big spinning blades ready to bat aside a poorly timed drive. At Torrey, well, you get gentle ocean breezes. At Tiki, on the 11th hole, is an erupting volcano, a volcano. At Torrey, the most you're going to encounter is a cool morning marine layer. As if that weren't enough, screams from the nearby Giant Dipper roller coaster at Belmont Park are enough to distract even golfers with the steeliest of nerves. At Torrey, well, you might hear an occasional seagull squawk. And the kicker is this. At Tiki Town, regulation play allows only one club for the entire course. A putter. Try that at Torrey Pines, John Rahm. Let's face it, Tiki Town Adventure Golf is way above par. Kind of like my golf game.
Well, thanks for that, Lenny. As usual, very thought-provoking and analytical. Nick, let's spend a little bit of time talking about the NBA playoffs. We've now got to the point of the season where there's only 4 teams still in the playoff hunt. On the eastern side, you've got the Milwaukee Bucks up against the upstart Atlanta Hawks. And over here on the western side, we have the LA Clippers going up against the Phoenix Suns. You've got some teams that are pretty surprising in that they're usually not the teams that you see in the playoffs, and especially not this deep in the playoffs. The Hawks, for me, are one of the most surprising, exciting teams to watch in this series with this guy Trae Young, who seems to score from just about everywhere. If I had a sentimental pick in the finals, I'd go for Atlanta. Nick, what's your take on the NBA playoffs?
Well,
You must be really excited about the Clippers.
yeah, I was gonna say, well, with the Clippers in it, I'm pulling for LA, and on the East, I'm rooting for the Bucks. I think Trae Young has to earn it. I don't think he should be coming in his second year, third year, just coming in hot, thinking he's the new Steph Curry. He needs to calm down. He needs to get humbled a little bit. He's had some lucky wins like the Sixers. I mean, Ben Simmons just looked scared the other night, and I don't know how they lost that one at home with Trae missing so many shots. LA, I'm pulling for them. They've been down 0-2 the first two rounds in this playoffs, and they're only down 0-1, and it was really close till the end there. So if we can get Kawhi back, even better. But Paul George has been pulling through. I think that the Clips are going to make it out.
Wouldn't get your hopes up too high. The Suns right now are playing really hot. They're 8-2 in the playoffs. They swept Denver after humbling the defending champ LA Lakers. I don't know if the Clips really have it in them to overcome the challenge of the Suns, and we'll have to keep an eye on that. Okay, let's spend a little time talking about Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball's efforts to now control.
Willie, what's that hat you're wearing there? Is that an Astros hat?
Yeah, it's a World Series Astros cap from 2017. I lost a bet to one of my Texas cousins and had to wear this hat, but I thought I could use it as a teaching moment for our topic for today, cheating in sports. It seems like Major League Baseball now is trying to cut down on these pitchers kind of getting a little extra edge with their using these banned substances like spider tack on the mound. It seems to be giving the pitchers an unfair advantage over the batters. Apparently, it affects the spin rate, whatever that might mean, of the pitcher as he's throwing the ball towards home plate. Kind of controversial in that some pitchers are saying, well, why are you enforcing this ban now in the middle of the season? It's going to create too many problems. Some pitchers are saying that their arms are starting to get injured because now they're having to go from not using this substance which they depended on, and the league had never really enforced the ban on, and now they're all of a sudden going cold turkey and they're hurting their elbows. It's kind of controversial. What's your take on this, Nick?
I think it's hilarious that they're starting to crack down on it now. I think it's really just the offense is too bad right now. We're getting too many. How many no-hitters have we had this season? I mean, this is clearly affecting these games, and they're already boring enough. And now let's just not have anyone having any hits. At least with steroids. Steroids was making the game exciting, right? You had a lot of home runs. You had a lot of stuff coming in, and this is just crazy to see how they're doing it in the middle of the season. They're going to have to collectively bargain it, and it's probably going to result in some kind of strike until it's resolved, if they don't get it resolved before the next season.
I just don't understand why players always seem to take Hold on a second. I got Ronnie here on the line who wanted to chime in. Ronnie, are you there?
Hey, yeah, I had to call in to talk about this for a minute. This is honestly just pathetic. It's going back from what we were talking about last week about MLB trying to change the game too much. This could not be any more obvious. This whole crackdown on the banned substances, this is Manfred and the MLB realizing that they screwed up the Astros thing, and now they're trying to make up for it, and they're punishing people who weren't even part of it, all right? And this is not cheating. What the Astros did with the trash cans and the buzzers and everything, that's cheating. The pitchers with the substances, that's not cheating. You heard Tyler Glasnow talking about how, guys 50 years ago used to use the substances, and he's one of the ones, for example, who got hurt two games after they took away the substances. He's out for the season. I got friends who used to play baseball. They all say the same thing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's been done. This is the way it's been. And yeah, it's contributing to injuries. And I truly believe this is all because of the Astros. The Astros have caused this to happen because none of those guys got anything, and now they're trying to just make up for it and make example of guys, and it's pretty pathetic. So I don't even think this is cheating. I don't think we're talking about cheating right now. Mixing a little bit of sunscreen with some rosin, there can't be anything wrong with that. The players not hitting, that has something to do with the ball. That's the baseballs itself. That has nothing to do with guys trying to increase the spin rate, which they're not even trying to do. You talk to a lot of people in the game, listen to what they say. They're just trying to get a grip on the ball. So I'm not happy. I'm not happy with the MLB. And you know what? Yeah, I think you're right, Nick. I think we may not have baseball next year. I'm pretty sure that's when the CBA is up in this offseason. There's so much distrust between the players and the owners in the league. I would not be surprised if we have a lockout next year. But yeah, it's got me pretty up.
Ronnie and Willie, how is this if you say this isn't cheating, how is this any different than stick 'em in football? You know, that impacted players' ability to catch the ball and that got banned. This is affecting players' abilities to throw the ball.
Well,
was stick 'em not cheating?
The stick 'em issue, that was a little bit different. I wouldn't compare the two. Ronnie, I'm glad to see that you have some really strong opinions on this. Hopefully you have some more to say in your Ronnie rundown, which we're going to go to right now. Take it away, Ronnie.
All right, guys. Hope everybody's doing okay. I'm a little ticked off, all right, for a couple of reasons. One, yeah, you know that I apologize. I got to keep my eye out the window here. My neighbor bought a nail gun from me. He goes, hey, you're from the East Coast. You got a nail gun, right? What is that supposed to mean? Yeah, I do got a nail gun. How about a knuckle parmesan sandwich, too, while I'm at it, all right? So he hasn't returned it yet. I'm going to have a few words with him. Look, the cheating thing is ticking me off. I've had enough of it. I had enough of hearing it. I had enough of pulling guys' pants down and doing cavity searches for the sticky stuff. It's not the players that cheat. It's the leagues that are cheating, all right? They have this stuff rigged top to bottom, all right? You've been gambling as long as I have. You keep an eye out for these things. My buddy Andrew Angiolo was telling me about some of this stuff, and then you know once you know about it, you start to look for it, right? You know, like in NBA, they got the motorized rims, all right? They do a little vibrator on the rim if they don't want a shot to go in or something like that. Football, they got drone balls. They swap out the drone ball. They want a big play, or you know, the guy in the booth is flying the drone ball. Maybe they want the guy to catch it. Maybe they want it to get overthrown. You know, however the outcome they want. Same thing with baseball. How many times you see the pitcher? He's swapping the balls in and out, throwing the ball back to the ump, taking them. It's because they're switching in the drone balls. That's what I've been trying to tell people. It's got nothing to do with sticky stuff, steroids, none of that crap. All right. It's all bull. And again, when you're looking for edges, that's when you start to notice stuff. When stuff doesn't. Unfortunately, you got to lose some bets in order to realize this stuff. Unfortunately, you got to lose a lot. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it all evens out. Spoken that before, but you're always trying to find an edge, right? That's really all we do. We know it's rigged, but we're just trying to find an edge. Great example is dead guy theory. Me and a couple of my buddies, we got a dead guy theory, right? So somebody on the team dies or one of their family members, they're a lock the next day. You know, you hate to say it, but like Brett Favre, the day his father died, threw 4 touchdown passes. I think it was in Philly. I mean, that's a lock, all right? My buddy Phil Fudinacci was at that game actually, and he said he was sitting behind the end zone, and he said he could, when he was throwing he could actually feel like it got a little colder, like it felt like he was not alone. You know, he could feel the presence. So hey, just something to think about, trying to find an edge. But good luck. I'm annoyed. I'm gonna cool it off, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ron. Those are some interesting points, depending on how you define interesting. As always, we're excited to talk about what you want to talk about, you viewers. This week, I reached into the mailbag and randomly pulled a viewer's question. Chanos in Corpus Christi asks, will we see similar trends in the NFL as we're seeing in the NBA, with new teams making it to the conference finals?
I don't think we're going to see that happening this year in the NFL. The NBA was a unique situation because of the COVID season last year. You got to remember, a lot of the teams that went deep into the playoffs last year, the Lakers, the Heat, I mean, they were still playing in October, and they hardly had an off season at all. it's no surprise that those teams got hit with injuries. They never really were able to get together. They're out of the playoffs. Meanwhile, teams that didn't go very far at all in the playoffs, or in fact didn't make it, the Suns, for example, they didn't even play in the bubble last year. They somehow managed to make it out very, very deep in the playoffs. I think it's good to see teams like the Suns and the Clips going far, but I think it's because of the COVID deal. In the NFL, the teams that are always there are going to be there. Chiefs will be there. Obviously, the Bucks are going to be back. The teams that don't go, they're not going to go again. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, really. I mean, I don't know if it necessarily has as much to do with COVID. It's just the way the different leagues and the teams are structured. It's so much harder to be competitive in the NFL. Obviously it starts with the quarterback. And, when you have a good quarterback for 10, 12 years, you're going to be competitive. In the NBA, guys are changing teams constantly. It's not it's not based on the organization. In the NFL, a lot of organizations, they have great traditions. They're run the way they're run for a reason. In the NBA, guys are just moving around. They're calling up their best friends, seeing if they want to play with them next year and stuff like that. So stuff's always changing. It's not as rooted in tradition as the NFL is. So I think it's very different. But with that said, it is good to see teams like the Suns and the Hawks.
I think you guys are both wrong. First of all, I'm surprised Willie isn't thinking that the Chargers have a shot to make it in deep in the playoffs this year. I mean, the Chiefs lost some offensive linemen. They might be struggling. The Bucks were only in it last year because of Brady. They haven't been anywhere near the playoffs in years. And that's just kind of how the cycle goes. I think that the Chargers might even be in the playoffs. I think the Dolphins are going to be up in there. The Giants might even win their division, Ron. So I'm surprised you're not going there. I think that we're going to see a new crop of teams, maybe not that deep, but they'll be in the playoffs.
I love you guys, but your ignorance is kind of stunning sometimes. You missed something kind of big. The viewer asked about new teams being in the finals. Well, I checked my source, so Wikipedia. The Bucks, the Hawks, the Suns, all have existed since 1968 or earlier, depending on the city you're talking about, and the Clippers since 1970. Guys, these teams are over 50 years old. How do they qualify as new?
Wow, Lenny, I didn't really think about the question in that way, but thanks for setting me straight on that. We're going to have to just leave it with that, end today's show. I don't know what else to say. I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in and watching, reminding everybody if they like and comment, they can also subscribe to our show. That'd be great. We're always taking questions, so if you have any Sports on the Spot questions, you can submit them to the sportsonthespot@gmail.com, or else just ask in the comment section of our YouTube channel. That's going to be it for today's show. Thanks to everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Unbelievable.